Good morning. Morning, all of you. I am really delighted with the topic today and the people I want to introduce. And Stuart and Jean Serembetz are past parents. I think I met them, 10 or 11 years ago when their first child came to Taft. And they have had three students come to Taft. They all did a terrific job. Tucker was a cross-country captain. Hunter was a baseball player, and Skylar went on to Wake Forest. The other two to Yale and Washington and Lee, I think, correct? Yes. And these were three remarkable students, and they were great parents. They were very involved. They were the kind of parents that you see here today, where students were always coming up and greeting them because they knew everybody. They were at all the games, and they became good friends of mine. And we stayed in touch, which has been really fun. And what they're going to talk about a little bit today, and with some Taft students and some leaders from Waterbury, is what philanthropy means. And it's a really, to me, an idea that I'm fascinated by. Philanthropy, of course, you all know what it means. It means giving back, and it's the idea of loving something, hence the word, the root word, and loving something enough that you want to support it. And in this country, as you know, philanthropy is a massive engine. That is, many not-for-profits, whether it's Taft or whether it's a cancer society, whether it's an event that you've heard spoken of by a Taft student and a fundraiser, whether it's a university, not-for-profits in this country cannot work. They do not exist without philanthropy. Taft could not certainly exist if it didn't have the generosity of alumni and parents, and that's the case for all kinds of not-for-profits. And so they're going to talk a little bit about philanthropy and something that they started at Taft, and it's a foundation that you may know about. And it's really one that I'm really proud of, and it embodies all that we believe in, and that is the notion of giving back. So you'll hear about the Red Rhino Foundation, you'll hear a little bit about some of the work we're doing in Waterbury, and you'll hear from some parents who are great friends and have been great friends to Taft. So would you please welcome Stuart and Jean Serembetz.
Good morning, everybody. Stuart's over here. I'm the talker in the couple, so I got the honor of talking to you today. Stuart's the driver, so he drove up from Stamford this morning. And anyway, so it's great to be back at Taft. We really miss all our frequent visits when our kids were students here, but it's fun to come back. We still see a lot of familiar faces of coaches and teachers and friends that we've maintained over the years since our kids left. So thank you very much for having us back. I wish Skylar could be here today. It would be rewarding for her to see the Red Rhino Foundation grants being given this morning. It's been 5 years since she presented the first foundation check to the Children's Community School. And I know it would be really rewarding for her to see that the Red Rhino Foundation is still in great shape and such capable hands. And to that end, I want to thank Jamela Lee and Baba Fru, who both recognize that a philanthropic student organization would be a good thing to have, both for the Taft students and the community at large. And they've done a lot to strengthen it and formalize the foundation over the last couple years. I know that they've put together elections and interviews for board positions. They've talked to the students about adopting bylaws and articles of incorporation, and they've really formalized the foundation, which Skylar just kind of started out as a club when she first got here. I also want to thank the students who've become involved and taken leadership positions. I met a couple of them already, and I just think it's great that they're continuing the idea that Skylar started with. Skylar founded the Red Rhino Foundation in the fall of 2007 when she first arrived at Taft. She had been exposed to philanthropy by serving on the benevolence committee of our family foundation. And she learned that there was an important distinction between just raising money and giving it directly to a charity. And that important step is investing the money in a permanent fund, which is called an endowment. And then it's able to grow over time. And rather than just raising money, giving it away, you've got this fund of money, and you're able to do things over a period of time. So investing money, having an endowment, is really the critical piece in identifying a philanthropic organization. By way of example, I want to make a distinction between charity and philanthropy. Charity is when you buy a fish to feed a hungry man. It's a noble and good thing to do because you've satisfied his immediate hunger. Philanthropy is when you raise money, you invest it, you buy the man a fishing rod, and you teach him how to fish. Then maybe the next year the endowment's raised enough money that you can buy a couple more fishing rods and give them to his friends, teach them how to fish, and over the course of a couple years you've really solved the hunger issue in an entire community. So it really just has to do with the scope of raising money and how much you're able to do with it. So with philanthropy in mind and Skylar arriving at Taft, she decided it was a good place to start a student philanthropic organization. She was well aware of the Taft School motto, not to be served, but to serve. And she saw the culture of community service and volunteerism that existed here. So there was an opportunity to start something. She identified a group of students that were also interested, identified a willing faculty advisor, and then she sought some advice from the development office. I saw Chris Latham here today. He was really a very helpful person with giving Skylar advice on actually how to set up the foundation and how to set up the endowment and how it all was going to be managed. So that was really very helpful. The students rallied around the common cause of childhood education for underprivileged children in the community. They elected a group of officers to make decisions and kind of run the programs, and then they adopted a mission statement. And the mission statement is really the heart of any philanthropic organization because it defines the direction that you're going to take over the course of your existence. And the mission statement for the Red Rhino Foundation, I'll read from a card here. The Red Rhino Foundation aims to create positive change in the local community through the promotion and support of education for underprivileged children. In doing this, we also intend to gain the necessary knowledge, understanding, and skills to continue philanthropic work in later life. So once the organization was in place, the officers and board members of the Red Rhino Foundation, and any charitable foundation for that matter, are charged with three responsibilities. The first is fundraising, the second one is endowment management and investment, and the third piece is charitable allocations. So let's start with fundraising. Skylar and the students who started the foundation first reached out to parents and friends asking for cash donations to start the endowment. So Stuart and I wrote a check, some of the other parents wrote a check, and all of a sudden there was enough seed money in this permanent fund that it became an endowment. Then over the course of the year, the students had some fundraising efforts. I know the proceeds from the spring fling dance that first year were put directly into the endowment. The week before the SATs, the kids sold these sharpened number 2 pencils outside the dining hall. They say Red Rhino Foundation, and they raised money and both awareness of the club, which was really in its infancy at that point. Anyway, we still have these pencils around home, so I'm going to donate those to somebody who's going to take the SATs soon. Then the next fall, they launched a campaign called Small Change is Big Change. I don't know if any of you teachers remember this, but they distributed these little rhino banks, like a piggy bank. It's got a red rhino on it, and it says, small change is big change. The idea was that the students would keep these in their dorm rooms, and when they came back from the jig or the soda machine and had a little spare change, they would drop it in the box. And then at the end of the semester, the foundation members collected these small change boxes and really made a big change because they were able to donate several $100s to the endowment. I think this Saturday there's a Sadie Hawkins dance that the foundation is sponsoring along with the volunteer council, and I believe some of those proceeds are going to go to the endowment as well. Now, I know you're a creative bunch and you can come up with a lot of fun ways to raise money around here. I think of, an auction or a benefit picnic or a golf tournament or something like that. In fact, Stuart and I are going down to visit Skylar at Wake Forest this weekend. Her sorority is running a golf tournament called Kappa Caddies, and all the girls are going to caddy for those of us who are playing golf. I think it'll be quite interesting to see Skylar caddying for us. But in any event, all the money raised from the benefit golf tournament is going to Brenner's Children's Hospital in Winston-Salem. So Skylar's continuing her philanthropic deeds even on into college, which is great for us to see. Okay, so number one is fundraising. The second function and responsibility of a foundation board is to manage the endowment and the investments. Managing the endowment's investments is critical to success. The challenge of the investment committee is to invest the money wisely. You've got to invest it conservatively enough to keep the principal in place, but you have to have an eye towards making a decent return, because it's the return on your investment that allows you to make meaningful charitable investments each year. And I wanted to thank the Taft Investment Club, who I know has become involved in managing and investing a portion of the Red Rhino Foundation endowment. They were able to earn a return of 4% in 2012, which is a pretty good number in these tough economic times. So job well done to those of you on the investment committee. Okay, so we have fundraising, we have endowment management and investment, and the third piece of any charitable foundations board is to make those charitable allocations. That's what we're going to see here today, the fun part. Each year the board agrees how much of the investment income they'd like to allocate and distribute to organizations in the community that are consistent with the mission statement. And in the case of the Red Rhino Foundation, that is supporting the education of underprivileged children. Now, I know many of you are familiar with a lot of the organizations in the area through your community service day and working on the volunteer council. And the members of the foundation make site visits to the various programs. They've been to the Children's Community School, the YMCA, Girls Inc., the Police Activities League. So they go and they visit these programs, witness them firsthand. Are the children having a good time? Do the teachers seem engaged? Are the administrators running the program well? It's kind of a gut feel that they first look around and say, is the program really serving the underprivileged children of Waterbury in a positive way? Then the whole process is formalized by asking each of those organizations to complete a grant application. And there they specify their needs. How much money would they like the Red Rhino Foundation to give them this year? If they received that amount of money, what would their plans be to spend it? Then the board reviews all those grant applications and decides how to distribute their gifts for 2013. And that's what we're here to see today. I think it's great because it's just another way of Taft students honoring the school motto, not to be served, but to serve others. And it's important while you're here and after you leave here and move on to college and careers, that you identify an issue or cause that is really important to you. Make giving back part of your life. Join forces with other individuals or organizations that share your passion, whether it's education, literacy, the environment, or hunger, whatever it is. Together you can do so much more than just feed a hungry man a fish. Thanks for having us here today. And now I'm going to have the students that are active in the Red Rhino Foundation come up and talk a little bit about what they've been doing this year.
Thank you, Sarah Rex. So good morning, everyone. I'm Sammy.
I'm Samuel Samus.
We're two members of the Red Rhino Foundation Board. Today like to introduce our peer board members. Behind us is Nicole Liu, Sean Kim, Tess Conchitori, and Ju Sung Kim. Before we share more about our work this year, please note that we have 3 seats open on our board for next year, so please stay tuned for news for our application for new board members. This year, our board has completed meaningful work. In advance of making our selection of grantees this year, we had an opportunity to make site visits to some community organizations. As we sat down to review this year's applications, it was very hard to choose amongst the grantees. We, however, chose the grant applications that we thought would have the most meaningful educational impact on children. Trust me when I say we engaged in long, thoughtful dialogue about which organizations to grant this year's awards to. However, charitable allocations or giving out grants is not our only responsibility as a board. We are also responsible for fundraising and endowment management and investments. In order to grow our endowment, we have invested some of our funds through the investment club. In order to make us better stewards of our funds and help us to fulfill our fiscal responsibilities, this year we are fortunate enough to have Mr. Clifford come in and teach us about investments. Our work for this year is not over after today, but we are extremely excited to share with the school our work selecting grantees for this year. So without further ado, I'm going to turn over the microphone to Sam to introduce this year's grantees.
Thank you, Sammy. This year, the Red Rhino Foundation decided to provide grants to 2 very deserving organizations, Children's Community School, CCS, and the Police Athletics League, PAL. We felt that the applications that both of these organizations submitted were closely aligned with the mission of our foundation, which is to, I quote, create positive change in the local community through the promotion and support of education for underprivileged children, end quote. Before I call up each organization, I will share a little more about the organization and what they asked us to fund this year. Children's Community School, also known as CCS, has been providing a unique, high-quality education to underserved children in Waterbury for 44 years. Established through the cooperative efforts of parents and a group of community activists concerned about the education of children, the school began as a 1-room kindergarten in the basement of the Berkeley Heights housing project. Adding a grade at a time, the school grew to include grades K through 5. In 1979, CCS was incorporated and moved into its current residence in the former Sacred Heart School building, and in 2003, a pre-kindergarten program was added. The school is fully accredited by the New England Association of Schools and Colleges, and the pre-kindergarten is accredited by the National Association for the Education of Young Children. This year, the Red Rhino Foundation is granting $1,000 to CCS to help defray the cost for 98 students to attend the Festival of Cultures trip, exposing students to a broader understanding and appreciation for other cultures and the arts. Could we now welcome Dr. Barbara to the stage to come accept this award?
Thank you so much. If the kids were here, they would be jumping up and down because they're very excited to go to this festival. In some ways, for you, it might seem like a little field trip, but what's really important for our kids is that we provide them with many experiences that go beyond the classroom, because those experiences are really important when kids come to learn to read and really learn to comprehend things. And if they don't have experiences, it's pretty hard to draw on what they're going to be reading about in literature. So it's really foundational to our literacy program. And I want to also thank all you guys who volunteer every week at CCS. Taft has been coming to CCS for many years. And for those of you who do come, you know how enthusiastic the kids are to see you each week. So I thank you for that, and I thank you for this grant today. Thanks.
Our next grantee, the Police Athletic League, was formed in Waterbury by the police department in the mid-1960s, based on the mission of filling playgrounds, not prisons. From the onset, the Police Athletic League has participated in competitive level sports. For example, karate, boxing, baseball, and basketball, establishing itself as a local sports association. Existing primarily for a handful of sports-based activities, in 2005, members of the community voiced their concerns regarding the city's youth and the challenge of bringing PAL back to its original potential. The community's concern incited PAL, and they began an aggressive revitalization of its program's objectives. PAL's initiatives has had monumental success, as seen by an increase in its membership from approximately 80 members to well over 4,000 members and growing. This year, the Red Rhino Foundation is granting $1,000 to PAL in support of its Homework Haven after-school program, serving children from Wash Elementary School at no cost to their families. Could we now welcome Lieutenant Robert Shiskowskis to accept this award?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lieutenant Robert Sizowskis. I'm a police lieutenant in Waterbury and the supervisor at Waterbury PAL. Waterbury PAL is a nonprofit organization run by police officers designed to promote partnerships between youth, the community, and law enforcement through educational, recreational, and athletic activities. And we just want to thank the Red Rhino Foundation and Taft School for selecting PAL for this grant. We're going to use it for our Homework Haven After School program, which targets the most at-risk youth and helping them get their homework done after school. And like they've said, it's at no charge to the families. We can only provide these programs from grant opportunities such as this. So I really want to thank everyone. Thank you.
Malcolm Gladwell's written a lot of interesting works about how things change and how small phenomenon become ones that change dramatically. And he says, among other things, that you need a couple things. One is you need connectors, and that's the kind of person who connects with others across all kind of divides and bridges. And I think that's one of the things that's happened here. And I think it's really exciting. And what's happening in Waterbury and at CCS and at PAL is just fantastic. We feel really privileged to be part of those organizations that are fundamentally changing that city. I mean, there is a level of hope in Waterbury because of those organizations that I don't think Waterbury has seen in 40 or 50 years. I really mean that. And if we can play a small part in it, and if you can learn something about giving back and how you can create a multiplier effect, where something small, an idea a girl had when she came to Taft and creates a foundation, now leads to the kind of learning you're seeing, the leadership you're seeing in the students behind me, and then the positive difference you see in Waterbury. It's powerful indeed. So it's a really proud day for all those behind me, the faculty who are involved, and the leaders in Waterbury. So thank you very much. I hope this was interesting. Thank you. Well done, guys.